Rin Tohsaka, the queen that I'm sure you wouldn't mind step on you. She's finally here, and if you're wondering if she's worth pulling, how to build her, what her best teams are, you're in the right place. Welcome to my complete Rin guide, where we'll be going through exactly all of that. Rin is one of the most anticipated collab characters, mostly because of the IP, but she also comes with a kit that allows for one of the strongest boss killing teams in the game. Use the timestamps for convenience, and with that said, let's get into it. We'll start with a summary. Rin is mainly a sub DPS slash support that ideally buffs Archer, which is free and is from the same collab as her. She actually has enough damage to be considered as a main damage dealer, but more on that later. The reason why Rin would be singled out as specifically an Archer support or sub DPS is thanks to her unique joint follow-up attack that she can only perform if Archer is on the team. The joint follow-up attack is an amazing AoE damage, especially for an Archer team. It is also an insane source of skill points as it regenerates 4 of them just by using it. Rin herself is also able to do a bunch of damage based on the skill points gained and consumed by the team, while having increased damage taken debuff on her ultimate too. A pretty solid character that can support and deal her fair share of damage. Now then, let's jump into her kit in detail. To start will be with her talent. When entering combat, Rin will gain 20 gem energy. You can see the amount of gem energy she has right below her icon. When an ally consumes or recovers skill points, Rin increases their crit damage by 70% for 2 turns. For every 1 skill point consumed or recovered, Rin will gain 1 gem energy too. Now you might be wondering, what does the gem energy even do? If Rin holds 15 or more gem energy, or if the current skill points are 7 or more, her skill will be then enhanced. More on her skill later though. This talent actually has one additional effect, but it is only available if Archer is on the field. It states that if Archer uses his skill to attack, if the skill points ends up being 3 or fewer, or if the skill has been used 5 times actively in the same action, Rin and Archer will launch a joint follow-up attack. This joint follow-up attack hits all enemies for good damage and recovers a massive 4 skill points. This effect can only trigger once, but it resets when Rin's turn ends. This is an insane help for Archer, where you'll always guarantee 2 extra skill usage because you'll gain 4 skill points from just using this joint follow-up attack. Add a sparkle in your team and you have your Archer shooting his skill that nukes bosses insanely more consistently. It makes this team one of the most broken boss nuker teams that's quite consistent too. Moving on though, let's take a look at Rin's skill. The default skill she has simply deals damage to 1 enemy, nothing too crazy. But as mentioned before, she has an enhanced skill. To trigger it, you need to have at least 15 gem energy, or if you have at least 7 skill points. If you use it, this enhanced skill deals damage to all enemies, then she consumes 3 gem energy to additionally deal damage to 1 random enemy. You can repeat this additional damage up to 33 times, or until you have less than 3 gem energy, or if there are no enemy targets with more than 0 HP left. When you use this enhanced skill, Rin also consumes any number of skill points above 2, and she gains 2 gem energy immediately for every skill points consumed this way. All of this means you want to use Rin's enhanced skill when you want to unleash pretty much all of your gem energy, and also a lot of your skill points, in order to nuke a wave down or to nuke a boss. Rin can do a lot of damage with this, especially if you save the gem energy up and nuke them at once. And since it's more like a bounce skill, it does spread the damage out well, making it quite a reliable way for an Archer team to deal with AoE situations. Moving on will be her ultimate. This one's simple. It is an AoE attack that deals the most damage to the main target. You also recover 1 skill point when you use this, and you'll also inflict 20% damage taken increase to all enemies for 3 turns. All of this makes her a strong sub DPS with some supportive abilities that mainly surrounds gaining skill points, specifically if Archer's in the team. Now to take a look at Rin's bonus ability. The first increases the upper limit of skill points by 2 if Rin is on the field. Rin also gains 150% attack increase and quantum rest pen increase by 15%. Now if Archer's in the team, he also gains these buff effects. The next bonus ability allows Rin to gain a 3-turn 20% speed buff when entering combat or after using Rin's enhanced skill. This is pretty helpful. The final bonus ability is simple. Rin gains 12 gem energy when she uses her ultimate. Pretty straightforward. The final thing to note is her technique, which simply gains her 10 gem energy at the start of combat. And with all that said, we can understand that Rin is best when paired with Archer as a strong sub DPS that gains the team a bunch of skill points. You'll mainly play Rin by holding her enhanced skill, and when you have enough gem energy or when you feel like you want to nuke the enemies, you can use her enhanced skill. Otherwise, her most valuable part will be from all of her talents that helps Archer, all the skill point regen, and her good damage on her ultimate, and her solid damage output overall, with the debuff that her ultimate provides too. She contributes a lot of AoE damage in Archer team as well, making her a very important partner for Archer in AoE situations. Absolutely worth the pull for players that play with the free Archer and has a Sparkle in their arsenal too. There is the main DPS consideration for Rin, which we'll touch on when we go to the team section later. Now then, we can move on to her builds. To start with her Lightcone, obviously her own is the best in slot, but only if you make sure you can trigger its effects, which mainly involves needing an ally that consumes 4 skill points in a single turn. It's easy if you use her with Archer, which is what you should do anyway. Alternatively, you can consider the Herda signature into the Unreachable Veil. Outside of those, you can consider the free 5-star Eternal Calculus, Argenti's signature, and Instant Before Gaze, or Night on the Milky Way, but mostly only for pure fiction. I suggest against thinking of 4 stars, but if you have no choice, you can consider Make the World Clamor, Today's Another Peaceful Day, Seriousness of Breakfast, or Genius's Repose. Now then, to move on to our relics. You'll be looking for the classic 4-piece Genius of Brilliant Star set and 2-piece Tengoku Livestream set. The alternatives are the 4-piece Scholar Lost in Erudition and 2-piece Root Island Arena. You'll probably have a ton of all those options if you have been farming for, say, Archer or any other quantum characters. Just use those with the best substats. Now for the main stats. You'll want crit rate, crit damage body, speed or attack percent boots, quantum damage or attack percent orb, followed by attack percent rope, or energy regen if you'd like a more supportive Rin. The substats you'll want to look for is crit rate, crit damage, then attack percent, then speed, then flat attack. Now then, let's finally talk about her teams. The best Rin team on paper right now is very obvious. It'll be Archer, Rin, Sparkle, and a Sustain. The Sustain can be anything, some better than the others at some situations. Ison is great, Ho-Ho is awesome, Danheng PT is strong as well. As long as you have a Sustain that can help the team live, you're good. The reason why this team is strong is simply because Archer is insanely strong first of all, but only really when he's helped by Sparkle. So if you pair someone as strong as Rin for Archer, and that Archer is also helped by Sparkle, you have the ultimate twin-tail double whammy combo buffing Archer. I would also become Thanos if I had these two cheering me on. Jokes aside though, Sparkle and Rin can both increase the limit of skill points, and they both restore insane amounts of skill points. Archer is the only character right now that isn't afraid of consuming every single bit of those skill points and making perfect use of them by dealing really high single target damage because of all those skill points. Rin's top value will be for the joint flop attack with Archer, which provides him with a sudden 4 skill point extra every turn basically. Rin's own damage output is also insane, especially with Archer constantly consuming tens of skill points to gain Rin gem energy. Rin's AoE capabilities also help Archer immensely, and you open up even better performances for AoE situations like Pure Fiction, even with an Archer team. With Sparkle being one of the free selector characters that you could have chosen before, this is pretty much one of the most accessible teams and one of the strongest teams for boss nuking, yet it doesn't lose hope against AoE situations too. A really strong team that I suggest a lot of newer players to try and get. I personally would suggest against taking anyone away out of the trio of Archer, Rin, and Sparkle though, as they contribute a lot with each other, especially at no Eidolons. Now to consider alternative teams, unfortunately there aren't many options if you want to play Rin as a more supportive role outside of being an Archer support. Rin simply does not have a full kit if she isn't used with Archer. It doesn't mean you cannot use her, it is just really much worse, especially at no Eidolons invested. You can try using Rin as more of a supportive role with high skill point usage characters like Danheng, which definitely needs a buff at this point, or someone like Seela maybe, but her performance is quite volatile depending on the stage. Now what you can consider as a realistic alternative is just using Rin as a main DPS. And the best team for that will involve Rin, Saridra, Sparkle, and a Sustain. This one's very interesting since Saridra can duplicate Rin's enhanced skills damage output. Meaning to say, if you nuke with Rin that consumed say 60 gem energy, Saridra's duplicated enhanced skill will also do exactly that amount again. That can set up for insanely funny nukes, and I especially recommend treating this team as something you can try long term, only if you have E1. At E0 though, you might still not pull off enough damage quick enough for it to be too worth it, but still if you're good enough in the game I guess, you can still maybe set up some funny one-shots. It mainly abuses the duplicated skill part with Saridra that ignores the cost, which basically means it still takes the amount of gem energy that you spend. But the problem with E0 Rin though is that once you blow off all the gem energy, you need your team to help her get more gem energy or else you might be in some trouble. Speaking of Eidolons, let's dive into that now. Firstly, I recommend pulling a simple E0 S0 Rin, especially if you already have an Archer and Sparkle, even more so if they already have Eidolons, which for most people, they might have. The reason for S0 on Rin specifically is because you might just have a good alternative that isn't used a lot, you know, all those limited erudition Lightcones that might not be used now. And there's also the point point where if the team mainly crutches on Archer when you pull Rin as a supportive role, you don't have to use Rin's signature because her main biggest value would still just be the extra skill points that Archer can use to nuke anything inside. After that though, you should consider E2S0 Rin, then E2S1. Then just slam E6 if you want more. Now to go through all the Eidolons. At E1, this is a completely non-supportive Eidolon, but an insane damage Eidolon that really opens up Rin as a main DPS with Saridra. What it does is simply allowing you to save the exact amount of gem energy spent as Shadow Gems. And you get to spend Shadow Gems as gem energy for your next enhanced skill. By the time you spend those, you already have more gem energy too, so you can just repeatedly use her enhanced skill, opening up a main DPS potential for her, or just stronger damage output as a sub DPS. The E2 though is her best value to money Eidolon. It is a straight numeric buff that increases your whole team's damage a lot. The skill damage increase helps Archer and Rin insanely well because it's a unique multiplier. You'll find immense damage increase for the whole team with E2, and it's where most would stop at if you want to enjoy near peak performance. To move to E4, it is an increase of crit damage buff, where she herself also gets it now, not just the team. It's okay, not worth stopping at though. E6 is where you lost your mind or if you're an absolute stan of Rin. This one though turns her into a cracked main damage dealer. The extra turn is insane after her ultimate, where yeah, combined with E1, you can nuke with her skill. Saridra would copy that, then you can ult, get another turn, and enhance skill again with Shadow Gems. A triple nuke, you wipe everything out. I'd actually recommend going E6 if you love Rin, and if you want to play her as a main DPS. You can set up some insane one-shots with it. And that will be all for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed, good luck with your Rin pulls, and take care.